Alien Romulus is the latest film within the Alien franchise. I think this makes number 9 depending how you consider the Alien vs. Predator films. It's directed by Fede Alvarez, who is a very fitting director for this film, having directed the 4th installment of the Evil Dead series, the 2016 film Don't Breathe, which I actually think has a lot of similarities to this film, and then also The Girl in the Spider's Web, which makes this the second time that he follows up a David Fincher film in a franchise. I overall had a lot of fun with this film, as I enjoy most of the films within the Alien franchise, and I am beyond fascinated on what they are able to do with every individual installment. I think starting with the first two films, Alien and Aliens, they share similar plot points following the character of Ripley, but really utilize different genres, with the first film being really a horror film on a space shuttle, and Aliens takes the approach of an action film. And so within the franchise, you have a lot of diversity when it comes to which genre they are trying to implement. And so on that spectrum, I would say Romulus does lean more to the original film, focusing a lot more of the horror elements of this world. Really, this film feels like a slasher film, where a bunch of teenagers find their way into what seems to be a haunted house, and there's a killer picking them off one by one. And then we have Cailee Spaeny as the final girl, who is having an incredible year, from Priscilla to Civil War and now this. But the cast overall was very good in this film. There are a lot of lesser known actors who you may have seen in this and that, but for the most part, I didn't recognize most of them. And that is also a very different approach from the previous films, where Prometheus and Covenant both had really an all-star cast where you knew almost everyone going into it. But it feels intentional, because I think this film is trying to be a little unique in that aspect. Because I think you have to ask yourself the question, what is this franchise? And what I mean by that is, when you make an Alien film, what does it have to have in it? The first 4 films are centered around Sigourney Weaver, and then there's the last 2 installments where Michael Fassbender was in both of them, as they were supposed to serve the first 2 films of the David trilogy. But I kind of like that this film can exist without needing to pay close attention to the lore or continuity. That being said, one of the biggest issues that this film has is that it really tries to hold on to those things. There are so many moments within this film that are very specific callbacks to previous films, and also just little Easter eggs sprinkled throughout the entire thing. Sometimes it's objects or outfits that the characters are wearing, but then there's also very direct dialogue that is just quoting previous films. And there's a lot of it. Some stuff that I didn't even realize were supposed to be Easter eggs until I learned so after the fact. And so I honestly think that you will probably enjoy this film more if you are not a big fan of the franchise. I'm not surprised they went this direction, as a lot of films today are mostly just fan service. Looking at you, Deadpool and Wolverine. But as a very casual fan of this franchise, my observation would be that the diehard fans of this aren't the type of fans that want to hold tight to the lore. This isn't some sacred franchise that we just want to see references to. I think you will enjoy this film a lot more if you don't understand that that is what they are doing the entire time. But I don't think it took away too much from the central plot and what happened within this story, which kind of bums me out even more, because I think there is a really good film here, but it's just kind of bogged down by all this extra stuff that really isn't that necessary. There are some set pieces and action scenes that are some of the most unique things I've seen lately, and I think with a lot of these films, there are some deeper ideas at play, especially when we get to Prometheus and Covenant. There's themes of capitalism and religion that of course have existed ever since the first film was released, and this film continues that trend. I wouldn't say that it introduces anything brand new that we haven't seen before in this franchise, but the idea of man's purpose within this world, especially trying to live within a system where big businesses are just pushing the little people down, those ideas are all very evident within this film, and I think for the most part they're told fairly well. So if I had to compare this to the other films within this franchise, obviously the first 2 films are so clear towards the top. My personal opinion, I do like the first Alien better than Aliens. Alien 3 and Resurrection are films that I don't really connect with, despite me still enjoying them for the most part, so I put those towards the bottom, with Prometheus and Covenant somewhere in the middle. And so if you're asking me on a pure enjoyment level, I think I would put Romulus above those 2. I don't know, it was a good time in the theater, and while there are big swings within this plot and story that I don't agree with, there was enough there to keep me on the edge of my seat, and I love when this franchise really hones in on the horrific elements of it. So I enjoyed this film, and I would love to hear your thoughts on it. So if you've seen it, comment below, let me know what you think. What is your favorite film within this franchise? And I will see you next time.